Hey guys, this is Alex, and welcome to the Two Dudes, Brews, and Reviews podcast. On today's episode, Austin and I are talking about the R&B and soul classic that is widely considered to be one of the greatest albums of all time. It's Stevie Wonder's 1976 album, Songs in the Key of Life. If you like what you hear, consider subscribing to the podcast, leave us a rating or review, and maybe even tell your friends about us. With that being said, we hope you enjoy the show.
By the way, we're live. We're recording. We're in it.
Yo.
We're here.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I'll let you do it. I think I might be finally wearing that bit out for myself.
There's no such thing.
You're right. But yeah, man, we're here. I think it's safe to say that sometime in the near future, video will be coming to the podcast for our listeners that are ever curious to want to know what we look like. If you don't know who we are, I guess they'll be able to put a name to the face. So
I seriously do wonder who listens to this outside of the people I know directly. Right. We do need like a promo shot or something. Like, we're just like disembodied voices right now for the most part.
I think we all are at the end of the day.
Isn't that the truth?
We're drinking whiskey tonight. 1792 small batch is what it is officially branded as. Never really heard of it or had much interest in whiskey lately, but it felt like a whiskey kind of night. A little bit of class needs to be involved in this podcast.
That does feel right.
Albeit the whiskey will make us lose our class, but...
When was the last time that we drank whiskey? It wasn't that long ago. My Chemical Romance podcast?
Yeah, did we?
I think so.
We drank that Suntory...
Yeah.
Is that right? With that Japanese shit? That shit wasn't bad.
That was good. The bottle's not over there right now. It's upstairs, actually. I made a whiskey and Coke one night when I was bored.
That actually seems like a good whiskey for that.
It was, actually.
Yeah. We're doing your suggestion, man. I'm really excited just to hop into it.
Yeah. We are doing Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. I thought it'd be interesting to go down the R&B and soul road, especially going back 50 years ago. I mean, this record is almost... 50. 76?
That's crazy.
It's got 3 years.
I was really shocked when you suggested it because to me, I'm like, okay, this millennial white man is not throwing like ambient drone music at me on an album. I feel like honestly, this is something that I would suggest eventually. Like I would take us down this road.
It's kind of what I was going for.
I haven't approached that yet. So now that you're doing it, it's like, okay, well, why?
Why am I choosing to go down this road?
Yeah, why?
I think I kind of like semi-explained it when I introduced this as a topic on the last episode. I just knew that you've been getting into keyboard lately.
Yeah.
And leading into the last episode, I actually had a movie or two that were like pretty locked in. Mm-hmm. And in my search for like a new artist, like I was kind of getting into a classic mode. I was listening to like The Who and The Replacements and all these other 80s, 70s bands. And Stevie Wonder just found its way to my Spotify and... it became very intense after that.
So did you like listen to other records outside of this and then like choose this one, or were you like just diving deep into this record and you're like, okay, here's the one?
I had heard a little bit of this record last year. I was starting to dip my toes into this, and I think I made it a few tracks in and then got distracted and played something else. When I returned to it this time, that's when I started hopping over to the other albums. My decision to do this one is mostly just because like this is the de facto Stevie Wonder album.
Okay.
It's widely considered his best, even among this era where he had many classics back to back.
Okay, fair enough. See, like to me, I'm like, this is too positive for Alex to be suggesting. What's going on here?
I mean, it is a good question.
Good for you.
I don't know. I just wanted to change things up a bit, get out of my own cliche.
Gotcha. I love this. Okay. So do you want to just hop into listening to a few tracks and then we'll be right back? Or do you got more?
Should we hop into context type stuff? I don't know what you know about Stevie Wonder.
I don't really know anything. I know that like there's rumors that he's not actually blind. That's the only thing.
I think I read a few comments that said that like earlier today. Is there credence to that theory?
I don't know.
I remember what it was. Somebody said they saw him live and he had like a glass of water on the piano and it like tipped over and he caught it. So
I don't think he's blind. He might be legally blind, but I think the man can see.
There might be some truth to that. Stevie Wonder, this is his 18th album.
Yeah, I read that. Holy shit, okay.
And he's not even 30 yet when this comes out.
Okay.
He signed to Motown when he was 11 years old.
Damn.
And he had like a #1 single very shortly after that. By the time the 70s rolled around, Stevie Wonder was already an established act, like many hits under his belt, and that's when the classic era began.
That's crazy.
He had 3 albums win Album of the Year at the Grammys, back to back to back. This is kind of like his final record. It's not his last official album, but this is the end of an era for Stevie Wonder.
Damn. Why do you always do this with like classic artists? Like, you like the Beatles? Let me show you their like curtain call. Like,
it's just, for some reason, with a lot of groups, it just ends up being the best thing, like the best stuff that they've ever put out. I think I agree with that on this one.
I will say that I listened to the album a lot, and I still feel like I'm blind in some way to some things. Like, I listen to the album a lot, and I'm very familiar with a lot of songs, but I feel like there's so much substance to that. We'll see where the night takes us. I feel like I always sell myself short going in, and at the end I'm like, I'm a fucking genius. We're the best. We did great.
Isn't this kind of how we went into the Silence of the Lambs podcast? We had to test the waters for a bit before things start to pick up.
It's the only way. Let's hop in.
Let's do it.
Love's in Need of Love Today.
We just got done listening to the first 3 tracks. So, opening track.
I didn't realize it, but we're doing a gospel record tonight, apparently.
It did feel like I was being taken to church a few times. Is that the same people use?
Yeah.
Okay.
I almost made like a cheesy comment. Take me to church. Fucking Hosier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never been there before. You fucking sinner. So, kind of shocked at the level of, there's like a richness in this record that we'll hear throughout. The mixing on this record is just insane and kind of threw me off. I guess I just wasn't expecting it for some reason.
You know, I'm not entirely sure, but is this a remaster or is this original recording?
I mean, I would assume it's a remaster to some extent. It's not labeled like one, but knowing that it's like mostly analog, there's like a lot of love and thought put into the soundscape because like everything sounds perfect.
It's weird that this is the first record produced entirely by Stevie Wonder himself.
Really?
And in comparison to the records like that came before this, like those all sound really good too. But this one's quality is still much higher than the other ones somehow. And like as a first time self-produced record, like,
right.
That's kind of crazy to me.
I wonder if the technology at the time was getting to the point where he probably had, I'm sure at that point in his career, he probably has his own home studio and
I'm sure.
Shit like that. Like, that'd be a dream. I mean, you can do it now. I mean, it's easy to do now, but like to the level of like luxury at that point in time, but you know, shit like that, it's like special in some way.
And you just know that Motown probably gave in to any wish that he had. So if he asked for a home studio, they'd just say, yes, sir, right away.
Yeah. I'm always interested by older music because of, like, we'll get there, but in terms of like politics of the time, and I'm more interested in the music at the time, like in history, like the Beatles. They went through like many different genres. It's interesting to think about where an artist sits at on like human history as we know it.
Yeah, just like the surrounding culture.
Yeah. I guess I kind of miss the level of presence that some artists have in terms of commentation and, you know what I mean? I feel like when I look to mainstream music, maybe I don't see it because I don't listen to mainstream music as much. Like, you know, that song that blew up like Richmond, north of Richmond.
Yes.
Like that's a culturally impacting song. I mean, maybe it might be like a one-hit wonder for the guy. Also, I know that resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah, and I can get behind the sentiment behind that song. I had a discussion with somebody about that song recently. I think it was Logan, and he was like kind of ragging on it. Just
really?
like I think we both agreed that like the sentiment is fine, but I don't know, maybe it's like the over delivery of the singing in that song.
It's a little bit of an epic song for how stripped back it is.
Yeah.
I get it.
I can't even say it's bad. I don't know.
It's also not your type of music.
It's really not.
It's not mine either, but I guess I just don't see artists like really taking a stance anymore. And maybe Stevie's a special case, but like...
Who are the big artists right now that would take a stance? That could take a stance, I mean.
Yeah. Here's my thing. This is something that I've noticed. We're here already. We're already talking about fucking...
Track 1.
We're already talking about our current socioeconomic status and our relation to fucking media. I've noticed, and me and Elizabeth kind of had a discussion about the way that like internet culture has like made its way over into like television. Everybody is spread across the board, like big mainstream pop artists like John Legend and like You have like Blake Shelton. They're all doing like music shows now. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like everything is so corporatized and product.
It is.
Everything is a money machine, and no one's ever like just talking about how they feel. You know what I mean? With an album like this, I'm like, okay, you know, it's R&B, it's, you know, soul. I think the genre lends itself to that, but I don't really feel like anybody talks about like world politics anymore as an artist. Like Michael Jackson, like for example, was like, that was an artist that did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not only would they write about this stuff in their music, but they'd be like very public figures for certain causes.
Yeah.
And Stevie was too.
Right.
I think before he recorded this album, he had considered retiring from music entirely to go to Ghana and live there and do like humanitarian work.
Right.
You don't really see artists be figureheads for like anything really.
Right.
Outside of like a Sprite commercial maybe.
Yeah. I guess like to me with our current world geopolitical climate, I'm just like, is anybody thinking about what we're doing here?
Has someone like Drake or Travis Scott ever made like a culturally relevant song?
You know, and this is something I wanted to talk about too. We're on track 1 still, by the way.
We haven't talked about the music at all.
It's all right. We'll be here all night.
Yeah.
Let me tie it back to the album. One of the reasons why I was so excited with the record is because I felt like to some extent it served me in a way. Like the music was serving me. It felt like it matched my current personality, mindset. I have a clean hippie vibe. That's what I want. That's what I'm shooting for. You know, the clean hippie.
I'm glad that it resonated with you on that level. That's what I was going for.
Right. Like the Drake album just came out like a couple of weeks ago, and like I tried.
I made it like track 5 or 6, I think.
It's not even that like I wanted to like it or like I wanted to enjoy it. It was like, I'm going to attempt to listen to this so I can like be bothered by it in some way. And like, and then
Really?
I listen to it and I'm like, why am I torturing myself with like I don't have to do this.
You know, I don't know why I listened to it either. It's been like 4 albums since I liked a single song by him.
Yeah, and it's been so weird as I'm getting older to look back on artists and be like, you grow out of it, but it's like sad to see a level of immaturity carry on to somebody that's like pushing their 40s.
Yes.
It's weird and like it makes me uncomfortable for them to know that there's a lifestyle built around this type of music. It's like super destructive and like it like does nobody good. It only like sows grief and sorrow and disdain for other human beings. It's like, yeah, I want to listen to that, sure.
Yeah.
So it's just when we listen to this, I felt very present with the record, and albeit there are some songs I don't really like.
There's a few that,
and we'll get there.
Yeah.
But it felt like there was something more than just music here. Sorry, I had to like. This is how I feel about the record. This is how like I approached it. I had been on such a dry spell of like nothingness, and so listening to something like this that's like very full front to back, there's a lot here to digest. Was like really nice for me because I haven't had that in a while.
Oh, good. For the first like 5 to 10 minutes of this podcast, I don't think you like said anything about your opinion of the album, so I wasn't even sure if you liked it when we went into track 1.
Yeah, sorry. I needed to. I need to listen to it a little bit to like get in the zone.
Yeah.
For example, like I found like the messaging on this record like insane. I guess as somebody that's like overly philosophical and sonder and constantly feels like there's a soundtrack playing behind me. Like, a record like this was really nice.
Good.
You know, love. Like, okay, like I'll be a fucking dork. I'll talk about, you know what I mean?
Stevie talking about the very concept of love being in danger, like needing love.
That's like something that like really shocked me. I never really thought about it like that. Like I work with customers. I work in like the service industry. It's fucking hard to like at the end of the day be like, hey, we're all good people. We're just trying to provide for our families and you know all that shit. And you know at the end of the day, it's tough. Like I had a lady yesterday like ready to fucking throw hands at like 8:30 in the morning, and it derailed my whole fucking afternoon.
Probably over something super asinine too.
Yeah, you know it's hard to battle those feelings, and then like when you listen to a record like this, it's like, okay, yeah, they're still there. Don't forget, like it's a spiritual battle in a sense of like good and evil.
It's constantly ongoing.
You know, it's a weird thing to think about, and it feels like everything is so oppressive all the time, and you want to resonate that, and it's hard when what's amplified, typically what is being resonated back to you is like really negative. Oh, we're going there tonight.
We're on drink number 1, track number 1.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love podcasts like these.
It's gonna be a long night. I don't know if we need to talk about this song in particular a whole lot, but it's a great opening. I mean, it's 7 minutes long, which is
Yes.
Strange.
A lot of tracks on this record kind of stretched their run times. At first, when I was getting familiar with the album, I wasn't sure if I liked this as an opening track. I thought it was a bit too mild.
Yeah, something about like wanting a little bit more funk off rip. I think this record is... I think my favorite moments are less about the funk.
A lot of the softer ones are my favorites on this for sure. And I think I changed my mind about that sentiment because like the overall tone of the song feels like Stevie's like literally welcoming you into the album. I feel like he has like fresh coffee and baked goods waiting for me. And he's like, sit down, friend. Nice. We're going to talk about love.
There you go.
Felt really good.
Yeah, man.
The layered vocals that intro the song and like kind of like make their way in and out of the mix later on gave me serious Late Registration vibes. Like I feel like Kanye pulled a lot from this album, probably other Stevie records too, in his work. And I think that's a big plus for me as a Late Registration stan.
I was waiting for you to make this comment.
Making it early on too. This is a great song. There's not a whole lot of switch ups. Around the 3-minute mark, it kind of stops being a song, and it's just like Stevie ad-libbing incredible vocals on the back half.
Track 2?
Have a Talk with God.
You know, for a song with its title and lyricism, the fucking key that this is in is like really bizarre.
It is a weird tone.
Yeah. Like I remember, okay, we have a cat now. Have we? Yeah. Last podcast. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. And I kept that audio in so people wouldn't know. Yeah.
This song came on and like immediately her fucking ears perked up and she was like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, honey.
I couldn't figure it out the first few times that I heard this.
It's like, I don't even know what it is. I mean,
it's harmonica.
Yeah, it's like but it's in like this dissonant key almost. Like it's so strange.
It sounds like it's like kind of like floating around, like in a way that it doesn't seem like it could be played like this.
Yes.
Like, as if it's been like kind of fucked around with in the studio.
Right.
On top of the other instrumentation. It's unique for sure.
It is. It's not as like this holy gospel song that I'm like trying to portray it to be, but it's a strange way to frame what I consider gospel music. You know what I mean?
The song actually made me think about hip hop a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like foretelling the future. I mean, hip hop really didn't start becoming a thing until
like late 80s.
Yeah, like a full decade after this.
I mean, there was like underground. It started somewhere, but I mean, there's like early shit is like the driest fucking rap you've ever heard.
It's just like a beat, like percussion only.
And exactly.
Suck it MCs, they is whack, like that kind of shit.
Yeah,
classic.
Damn, homie, you were taking me back. Yeah, man, it's interesting to see where, again, we're talking about history when essentially a mega mainstream artist is somewhat laying the groundwork for what is to come. That shit excites me.
It's a really futuristic sound. We have that like sharp harmonica flying around on top of this like really farty bass at the same time.
Farty bass. Yeah.
It's like a really just like...
Yeah.
It's kind of sick. The song itself, really simple sentiment. Just have a talk with God. Like that's really just the message of the song.
Here you go. I think this is really cool. He's the only free psychiatrist that's known throughout the world for solving the problems of all men, women, little boys, and girls. That line always sticks out to me. I'm like, damn, can I get a hell yeah? I don't know. It's like really powerful words there. I don't know if I consider myself a Christian. I pray and I meditate and I talk to God, and typically it's framed in a Jesus way. If I pray, it's like Jesus is involved, but like I don't go to church. I'm cut off from that world.
You've explained your concept of God to me before. It's a little bit different than...
I don't even know if I know what my concept of God is, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. It's probably an always changing thing. It's been months since me and you have talked about shit like that.
Well, here we are, live on the air. No, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. And that's okay. I'm not uncomfortable with that. I think my perspective on spirituality is always evolving in a way that is always more intense, and it's become more difficult to grasp in some ways, I think, as I've gotten older. My world is very fragile now. My reality is like, this can be taken away like very quickly. I feel very on edge, like about...
It's like things are too good.
Yeah. I worry that things will be taken away from me. It's not like materialism. It's like, I feel like love will be taken from me. That scares me, you know?
I think I kind of know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's not like I want to, like, it's not my stuff. It's like my relationships. I worry about that a lot. I worry about like evil prospering in the world and like what it will do to our society on a long-term scale.
Tell me about it, brother.
Just like freaks me out. I have like a really anxious approach to the world in terms that like the food I eat. I worry about like fucking like the plastic fucking coating on my fruit.
Yeah.
And the quality of the water I drink and like the amount of minerals that my body gets.
Yeah.
Like,
I worry about that stuff to a degree too, just because I don't trust the ones in charge to like keep it up to par.
I wonder why the fuck we don't trust anybody. I mean, they haven't fucking squandered it yet, have they? I mean, they're still doing a good job, right? You know, so stuff like that where
It's hard to be optimistic.
it is hard to be optimistic, and I feel like that's why I'm always like really drawn to some spirituality in some way. There's got to be something more than like this. We've had these conversations.
We have. I used to be such a rigid atheist for years, and then now I'm just kind of like, maybe there's something.
There might be.
That's like the extent of my philosophy. I'm like shrugging my shoulders, like, yeah, and that's it.
Why do you think that is? Let's dive into Getter's psychology here. Do you view spirituality in a way that like you're not really worried about it, or do you shy away from it in some way for certain reasons?
Yes. Both. Yeah.
Excellent
To an
answer.
extent, I think both of those things have something to do with it.
That's okay. That's an okay stance to have. I'm just curious to know why, because typically our conversations is I'm like, dude, the geometric patterns that make up our reality, the way our atoms are constructed in this most perfect way, and how we're all being held on this earth by gravity, and we've stripped the earth of this resource of its resources. And you're like, yeah.
I mean, I love taking it in when you're...
So I'm like, I don't know if this is really registering.
I always understand where you're coming from. I don't know what it is. I just don't have like a super strong opinion. I think 80% of it is like I feel like I don't have time to think about it. I'm not like tying myself in knots about philosophy as much as I would be in like my early 20s.
Right.
I think that's probably the era where I was like that.
Well, here we are. I'm in my early 20s.
Yeah,
So
you're here so I can vicariously live through you.
Right. I hope I don't lose that.
You don't seem like the type of person that would lose it.
I hope it only grows in strength.
Unless you have like 7 children where like you really don't have time to...
I don't know. Those fucking Southern Baptists, they really... I think they have time for it in some way.
Your children will become your conduit for all these ideas.
Right.
Hey, little Johnny.
Have you ever considered the thought that you may not live very long, Johnny boy?
You almost made me do a spit take.
Sorry.
I don't think I've ever done that before.
Oh, shit. We're on track 2. Village Ghetto Land. This is like a crazy fucking song. It's so uncomfortable.
It's insane that it's like this up close to the front of the album,
Yeah.
too.
I would expect it like, this would be something that you would like want to bury deep in a record. Stevie's like, here you go. This is black culture. Here we go.
This feels like a second to last track on the album type of thing. We're going symphonic on this one. No other instrumentation besides like the symphonic keyboard.
I'm on a classical music kick right now. Hearing this, I'm like, make way for the king. You know, it's so...
I figured you would like this one.
Yeah, I loved the commentary it has because it's like the ultimate mockery of like a very wealthy socialites and politicians and big corporate pieces of shit.
Yes.
The lyrics are fucking so dark.
It's like very blunt.
It like really painted a vivid image in my mind, and I think that's really powerful for like what ultimately is like a very short track. Like it's only 3.5 minutes compared to like we're gonna like dive deep into like some jam and really go off the rails at some point. But this song is like a 10 out of 10 song. Like everything that's working for it, the way that the theme is being communicated, it's juxtaposed to the suffering, and I feel like that's something that has power over like what I would consider like fuck the man. Mm-hmm. You know, like when I think about like black culture in the way I viewed it previously, it's like I have such a history with like hip hop and rap that I guess I've never really seen anybody say it seriously in a way that's like not easily dismissed.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
That is a great point. I mean, opening the track with the line, "Will you come with me to my dead-end street?" Like, that's like your opening line. He's going hard-hitting right out of the gate. I feel like the bluntness of this in the hands of another artist could end up being really heavy-handed.
Right.
And there's something about Stevie that just feels very genuine. It's almost like it's impossible for him to come off corny.
Yeah, there's a level of class to it.
Yeah.
He's a class act, you know? I mean, that's the only way to put it. I mean, again, I think the way it's delivered is so tight that I think it kind of forces you to listen to the message, whether you really want to or not.
This is like a perfect track, but this is one of the ones that I listened to the least in this 3-week period. I don't know why that is. Like, it's kind of a hard track to listen to.
It is. I mean, talking about fucking the families buying dog food now, babies dying before they're born because they're infected with grief. Like, I think there's like a level of truth to that.
Yes.
And like that's crazy. You and I have talked about like there's a resonance to behavior and like your emotions. Like they affect you and they affect your environment. Don't you think? Like if you're negative, like
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I feel like I used to be more cynical then. I feel like at the time, like I just viewed everything like I'm like so much happier now, and like, not that much has changed.
I was going to make a comment about this. I was waiting for you to kind of bring it up. I kind of assumed that you maybe would say something like that. I will say, as your friend, you've changed a lot.
Have I?
In the time a lot. I never really told you that. I've never really like made it known. I've never been like, oh yeah, man, you're doing great, man.
I've been thinking about this a little bit lately. Like, what was I like 2 or 3 years ago?
You were different, man.
Whenever we started this fucking thing,
you were kind of depressed. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I was super depressed.
Yeah, like
all the time.
Yeah,
for like no reason.
I know. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Get with the program, man. Well, and I was there at one point in my life. Too.
Yeah,
you know, we're both white males. We have our arcs. We have our bouts of depression. I mean, yes, we have to. It's the only way. It's the only way to live the true American life. You need something to be somber and sad about. Damn it.
I don't even know when the turnaround was, technically.
I noticed, like, what did you text me that day? What did you listen to that you were like, I don't know why I listened to this, but now
Was it when I texted you about, like, Tears for Fears or something? Yeah, I was going through, like, an 80s thing for a few days.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, but, like, you know, you're running. You got, like, there's something to you now. Like, there's, like, this level of, you got, like, this spark to you.
I feel like I have a lot more confidence nowadays than I used to.
You're doing okay. I mean, you're all right. I mean, I wouldn't say you're
For example, I've been re-editing one of our old episodes recently as a plan to clean up our old catalog. Listening to my speaking cadence and tone and like the way I spoke then, I mean, that was like 2 years ago. I don't know that person. You know?
Changed. I've noticed.
My voice isn't even the same as it was.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened?
You're like confident.
Who am I?
You are confident now. You're right. You speak things like you're like, this is how I feel. And I'm like, good for you, man. You always like, not to hyperanalyze the shit out of you, but like, you always used to speak with a level of like, everything you say, you would like frame it as like, I guess? Like, you're like,
I still do that.
Question? You do it less now than you used to. I think like doing the podcast like kind of helped that because you like I guess you kind of have to be confident in like what you're saying if you wanted to. I have
to listen to myself speak in the editing room too.
Yeah,
and so I kind of like
you're like I need to change that.
Yeah, that's literally what happened. I think I haven't really thought about it in a long time. That did happen.
I just want to say, as your friend, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You're doing well for yourself. I see it.
We've both changed a lot for sure.
I'm not gay anymore. All right, you want to listen to a couple more tracks?
This is going to be a long fucking podcast.
Hey man, listen. There's only one way.
Yes,
and that's this way. Contusion first here, just instrumental.
Were you expecting something like this after the few tracks that like the first 3 tracks on the record?
No, it kind of surprised me. There's a lot of like really lengthy jams on this record, but they come after this, you know, for the most part. It's like, okay, yeah, we're doing that too. You know, it's not something that I guess I would associate with most classic albums or anything like that.
You would almost think that a Rush audio file accidentally made its way onto like the Stevie Wonder album. It reminded me a lot of the song like XYZ by Rush, if you've ever heard that before. A similar tone, instrumental song.
It reminds me of a little bit of like Japanese funk.
Japanese funk.
You ever listen to this shit like that?
I don't think so. It sounds like I need to.
It's special. Like some like neo soul.
Didn't even know this was a thing. I know what we're adding to the playlist later.
I think have you like really never checked anything like that out? Like
no.
I love that shit. I guess I've never really shown you that.
I don't know much foreign music. The farthest I've gone, I think, is that band like Toe. And they're like an all instrumental band, so like the foreign aspect doesn't even matter.
They're like post rock, math rock shit. Like,
yeah. And I'm already a sucker for the genre, so right. Yeah, there's like no challenge there.
Like some city pop. I'll have to show you.
Okay, I'd be intrigued by that.
It's actually a guitar track for the most part.
Yeah, which is very unusual. I think the credits listed somebody named Michael Cimbello as the guitar player on this, who I never heard of before. It looked like he had some credits on like Temptation songs as well. He might be like a studio musician.
Right.
Yeah, this one, it's like very prog rock-esque, big focus on the solos. The only thing that like really makes it sound like a Stevie Wonder song is like some of like the female lead vocals that are kind of like in the back. It's one of the least prominent things in the mix.
It's all like on the tempo that the horns are on. Is that correct?
I think so.
It's like, I don't even know if it's a horn. It's like almost like synth. Or is it trumpets? I can't tell.
Oh God, I don't know. It's kind of a busy mix. It's hard to distinguish each individual component. In a weird way, it feels like they're just showcasing the musicianship of everybody, because this is kind of like a mild record overall. The skilled playing is more subtle
Compared to a track like this, yeah, for sure.
Yes, and this one is more like a showcase. Like, hey, everybody here can like fucking rip on our instruments.
Damn, I didn't really think about it like that.
I don't know. Like, that's just me like guessing.
I think you might be onto something. All right, moving on to Sir Duke.
Sir Duke. The song rules. I really love this one. I think this is like the most well-known track on the album. It had the most streams on Spotify, at least. I was actually surprised by some of the number of plays for certain tracks. Like, If It's Magic, I thought was a way bigger song than it is.
Right.
And it's like one of the least streamed ones on the album. I was like, I've heard this many places before.
Right.
Like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if maybe they make their way into like playlists more often. Like, you gotta think about stuff like that.
Yeah. Something like Sir Duke or Wish are way more playlist ready than If It's Magic.
This track kind of talks about some unique things here I wanted to talk about. Opening lyric, music is a world within itself with a language we all understand. I think that's like really true. You know, this is weird, but like Dave Matthews, he like has some really unique styles, and like he will do like some fucking African, tribal shit with like clicking and all that shit.
He's from Africa, right?
Yeah, South Africa, I believe. But it doesn't make sense a lot of the times, and a lot of his lyrics are like really more like he uses his voice as an instrument itself in some ways. And I'm like, oh, like there's some truth to that. I mean, we're just talking about like Japanese fucking neo soul. It's like I don't know what's being said, but I'm like, this resonates with me.
These little worlds that we get lost in within music. I like a good song about music appreciation like this. I feel like you don't get that very often. Like, what's a modern song just about music? Unless it's like, I'm all about that bass or something.
Oh God, I want to put a gun in my
mouth. Or like, please don't stop the music. Like, it's always like
it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same.
I can only think of like TV slogan type songs.
Like some fucking advertisement music. Yeah.
Nothing is coming to mind. Like a genuine attempt at appreciating music. I think this is dedicated to Duke Ellington because he had passed 2 years before this record. This is just like a really upbeat, fun song.
Yeah, man.
Like, I feel like you could put this on in any public setting and
everybody would be okay with it.
It's okay.
It's not going to offend anybody.
The horns on this song fucking rule.
Very nice.
The arrangements for each horn part are so perfect. Like, melodically.
You ever like dived into the rabbit hole of like marching band performances?
I haven't.
Or like,
no.
Just like band. Oh, man.
I'm not really into like marching band stuff.
Oh, I'm a sucker for it. Because the horn sections, homie, they get me. When you put 40 horns next to each other, I'm like, the Lord will rise again. I'm like, we're like in it. Like, it's so powerful.
I think I just mentally associate it with going to high school football games or something, which I didn't like doing.
I'm more of like the, I don't want to hear like the snares and all that shit. I'm more of like, I want to hear the horn section, open the pearly fucking gates. That's what I want.
And maybe that's a rabbit hole I need to go down.
I'll show you some shit. In a little bit. But yeah, man, I'm a sucker for the horns. I'm a sucker for horns when it's in indie music. So, it's going to be good on something like this.
I usually like horns the most when it is something like mournful, like sad, slow. But here it's like a party atmosphere, like a block party or something.
This ain't the Antlers.
No, it's not the Antlers. I didn't feel like crying after listening to it, so that's a plus.
That's good.
Like Stevie's singing like melodically, the melodies that he wrote for the song, like verse and chorus, every element in the song is working for me. I especially love the little moment that's post-chorus, I think, where the horns kind of do this little run where like the bass is kind of replicating what the horns are doing underneath. It's incredible. Like it's such a great fucking track.
When I think about Stevie Wonder, I kind of associate it with something more of this tone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is one of the only ones like this on this album.
I know. That's the thing. To be honest with you, I think that's kind of why this track doesn't like really stand out to me. For like my personal enjoyment, I'm like, I'm okay.
It's not doing the same thing emotionally for me as the other like deep cut songs.
Right.
But when this comes on, I'm pretty happy, honestly.
I think the music's supposed to do this. Like, I think this is that type of song. So,
Yeah, for sure.
I wish.
Somehow this is the one song that I didn't write notes for. I think that was just an accident.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Neither. I think, I like this song. It's not among my favorites, but I think it's a good track.
Yeah, I think it's a good track. I don't think there's enough for me to really enjoy here. You know, the subject matter is kind of just like a
nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like general childhood nostalgia.
Right. I think it's interesting to think about Stevie Wonder being like basically an icon, but then like he's kind of like describing his poverty, you know, talking about not having gifts for Christmas, but like still making the best of, you know, that's not something I would really ever think about associating with the artist. So like I'm like, okay, like the song is showcasing something that's like deepening my appreciation for who he is as a person. I like that. But like also, good for you, man. We get it.
It's weird to imagine Stevie Wonder being like a hoodlum,
right,
as the way he describes himself in this track. What did he say? Like writing nasty things on the wall? Mm-hmm. Like Stevie wouldn't do that.
There's no way.
I will say that the little snippet of that nasty boy with Kendrick Lamar's music, I see where it comes from now, you know?
This is straight off To Pimp a Butterfly.
It really is.
That's amazing.
There's another moment later on where I get that same feeling too. I'm having a hard time remembering at the moment, but I'll find it later.
I never really thought about that, but I see that now.
This one's really strong melodically, but I just don't think that it's not one that I like returning to. I think like after Sir Duke, this one pales in comparison. Like if we're like comparing our two upbeat like hit style songs.
You know, I think this is something that I noticed with my listening experience. I kind of check out after Sir Duke on side one.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. I think we'll get there. But like this is already like a very long record.
It is.
There are some points that I'm not going to enjoy as much. So like my brain has like saved me the exhaustion. I mean, I listened to this album on repeat.
I've probably listened to this more than any other album for the podcast.
It's been a while since I listened to an album this much. And like there's a lot here. And so I definitely have a favorite side. And I don't think it'll be any secret that it will be side 2. But I think some of the milder tracks are on the front half. Village Ghetto Land is like a very dark subject and like emotionally powerful, but like my favorite stuff is on the back half where I think like the album comes to like a full expansion, all of its ideas. So like I have a favorite there, but like Sir Duke and I Wish are like both very, you know, like everything is good, everything is happy, and so even though that they're not like these overly joyous subjects, there's a tempo to it. There's a whole vibe around it.
No, I definitely found myself skipping these two to get to like to the end of disc 1.
Right,
a lot of the time.
Knocked me off my feet.
Yeah, knocks me off my feet. I fucking love this song. This is actually a track highlight for me.
Really?
Yes, 100%. I feel like it's like the sleeper hit of the album.
I really wasn't expecting this one for you.
Really?
Tell me why.
I feel like this one caught me late in the listening in terms of like the last few weeks getting ready for the podcast. This track kind of snuck up on me. There's a weird quality about the way the verse and the pre-chorus is structured, where he kind of like repeats the certain line a few times, where he's like, "It's something about your love," like that part.
Yeah,
that was terrible, but
sound just like him.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder in the flesh. But the way that he kind of prolongs the chorus for a long time by like he keeps repeating back to these certain lines, and it feels like you get stuck in a loop before he unleashes this extremely uplifting moment.
Right.
And it's like, oh God, we're here. And it feels really good.
It's for like basically like a ballad, it's like really epic.
It's for sure one of my favorite vocal performances by him. Just the way he belts out, "I don't want to bore you." Or what is the line? Is that what he says?
Yeah, "I don't want to bore you with it. Oh, but I love you, I love you, I love you." Yeah.
I feel like, is this a hit to a degree? Is this a known song? That "I love you" refrain, I've heard that before I listened to this record, like for sure, but I don't know where I heard it.
It could be a sample somewhere.
I think there's a few things on here that have been sampled. Hell, one of the tracks is coming up next.
Yeah, you know, I kind of feel that way sometimes. Like, I kind of resonate with what Stevie's saying here, because like sometimes it's really hard to just be like, you're like trying to say it, and you're like, "I like fucking love you," and then you're like, "How do I say it so you understand more?" Like it's so hard to,
and then overthinking it can like fuck up your delivery a bit.
Yeah, and you're like, you know, me and Elizabeth, we were talking, like, been living together has been like a real joy, because last night listening to this record, like we're both doing art. You know, I'm drawing and like she's crocheting.
Is that when you sent me that video?
Yeah. And I'm like, how do I explain this to you? And then I attempt to, and then she's like, "Don't talk to me. I'm counting. I have to count these stitches." And I'm like, yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I'm like, you know, having her explain it to me. I'm like, okay, well, like, she's like, "Just give me a minute." I'm like, my emotion comes to me and I'm like, "I need to tell you right now before I forget."
You're significantly more lovey-dovey than she is, right? Okay.
Yes. And then she's like, if you want to talk, you're going to have to give me just a minute. And I'm like, and you're like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you in this way.
I think Olivia's like this too with me.
So it's like, I just think it's funny. Like,
I love that sentiment.
At the same time, I'm like, there could not be a more perfect moment on this earth. And I'm like, I'm the happiest fella in the whole wide world. And then immediately it's like, shut the fuck up.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah,
that's
man.
great.
I mean,
it's not a bad thing.
Some things never change.
And I know for sure that I believe Stevie when he says it on this track too. There's a 100% sincerity behind that vocal performance.
Yeah, man.
Dear God.
I love that. Like, you don't get that like level of sincerity. There's like a level of vulnerability that like he's taken on this record that like it's probably not shocking for the artist to do, like because we know him as Stevie Wonder, but like that's something special. Like that doesn't come around very often.
It really is. How long is this track, by the way?
About 3.5.
See, I wish it was like 7.
Yeah.
I wish that loop of pre-chorus and chorus just kept repeating for twice the length.
All right, then. Pastime Paradise. This was really shocking to me when I heard it for the first time.
I actually didn't know this was the origin of this sample.
Yeah, like, I just always thought it was Gangster's Paradise. Like, I'm like, that's the song. It was like original, and then now I'm like, my whole life is a lie. My worldview has changed.
It's actually incredible how much of the track is borrowed. Like, it's like the whole beat. Like, this is Gangster's Paradise.
It's the only thing that's changed is the lyrics.
Yeah.
and like, that's, I can't believe he got away with it. I mean, like, it just feels like somebody got away with murder. It's like, it feels wrong in some way.
I wonder how much the royalty cost was to use, like, the bulk of this song. I will say, and I think you might agree, and it's not Stevie's fault, but the Future made this song not as good. Like, I can't take it as seriously. I just think of Weird Al.
Yeah, it's like stripped down in like the driest of form in a way.
There's not a whole lot that like pops out in this track, like outside of just like the tune being kind of overexposed to me because of it being used in these Future tracks.
See, I agree with you there, like instrumentally, but I think like the theme of the song is like so much better than Gangster's Paradise.
That's where it's shining,
right?
100%.
We kind of touched on it earlier, but like your perspective on life will like ultimately like create your reality, and I think he's kind of saying something here with that. With like they've been spending most of their lives living in a future paradise or pastime paradise, talking about like nobody that can live in the present.
I feel like the topic of the song is, this is a statement that I hate saying, like just as relevant as it used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so. We've talked about this before, like how things never change. That's why things are always relevant.
Right.
Like the pastime paradise thing. Like I feel like that's really, like escapism is extremely easy now.
Summer Soft. I don't like this song that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think this is one that's actually like kind of cheesy.
All right, let's go there.
I also just think like his vocal delivery is like somewhat off key.
Sort of.
The chorus.
I think it's like during like the intro, the soft, tender moment that begins the song. It's kind of in a weird key. He's really high up in the octave. There's something about that part sounds weird to me. I think the chorus on this track, he sounds incredible.
I don't like it.
No?
Like the and cheese. I can't even get that high, but like.
Is it because there's so many key changes in this one?
And it's the over delivery of Gone. Really laying heavy on that.
I love that moment.
I am on the opposite end of the spectrum. I can't stand it. Like, no.
I could sit on him just doing that word, the Gone, forever.
I think that's funny because I'm like, Getter's going to agree with me on this one.
Really?
And now I'm like, fuck. See, I can't stand like the summer's gone when you find it's October. It felt like a high schooler's like poetry project in a way. I don't know. For some reason, like just really bothered me. The use of like seasons and months like really bothered the fuck out of me. I don't know why.
I don't know how I didn't catch the line in the midst of herself playing Santa Claus. It's the third line of the track. It's weird phrasing to use. The thing with key changes is I think 95% of the time it is a cheesy technique to use. The fact that it just keeps elevating on this one, I like that quality actually.
I think because I never feel like the chord progression ever has like an end. It always feels like we're going up this escalator.
There's no resolve.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't. Like, I need it to stop for a minute.
That is true. There is no like finality to like any section of the song.
Right.
It's just this constant like moving upward.
Yes. That bothers me.
I think it's kind of cool.
Oh.
Like, I think as a tune, the songwriting is probably among the weakest.
Yeah.
That's something I'm realizing now due to your skepticism.
My disdain.
I think maybe I'm just caught up in like this vocal part that you think is bad.
It's funny. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Trash. Damn.
I was at the thrift store today, so I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, this is a nice jacket. I'm like, somebody probably thought this was dog shit.
I guess I can kind of get that feeling towards this track. It is kind of like a really long pre-chorus.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Validate my opinion, damn it.
I think we're moving into more positive territory with the next track, though.
Yeah.
I assume.
This is like a great track.
I love this one.
I think it has like certain qualities, like similar to like Knock Me Off My Feet, kind of the similar tempo, similar tone.
A little bit more upbeat in the verses than Knock Me Off My Feet was.
Yes.
I would say that there's nothing like terribly crazy about this one until the beat change. Up until that point, It's like a really good song. This is a good mid-tempo R&B track. And then Stevie Wonder decides to invent G-Funk in the middle of it. At least I think. I don't know if there were any contemporary artists doing stuff like this around the time. Like Herbie Hancock maybe. But
Right.
I don't know. My knowledge of this era is so bare. Like Stevie's kind of like my intro.
It's the first step in a long road, I'm sure.
I think Herbie Hancock actually plays on this record, on one of the tracks. Plays the Fender Rhodes.
The Fender Rhodes.
The Fender Rhodes. Yeah, I think the thing that makes this track stand out is definitely when we just decide to go into like a super bass heavy like funk section towards the end. Stevie actually kind of like exits the track and lets the backup singers do their thing.
Yeah. It's Shirley Brewer is on the verse 3, like that huge section.
I know that one of the singers is like his ex-wife.
Ex at the time or like
already divorced.
That's crazy.
Like I think divorced 3 albums prior.
Hell yeah.
He must be a great guy. Like
He must be.
Even through divorce, you're like, I'll still hang out with you.
Couldn't do it. Fuck you, bitch. Do my money.
How long is this track?
Fucking like 6.5.
Yeah, this one just keeps jamming on this refrain at the end.
Yes. The lyricism at the end is like, I don't even know that like I can decipher the words as they're being said. It's just like this twangy female vocalist. It's like there's so much grit to it. And I'm like, yes, we're just like stomping on the floor, shaking our heads. I'm like, here we are.
There's a lot of sections on this record like this where you could put it on an infinite loop.
Yes.
And I'd just be cool with it.
I don't know if I said it on the air yet or not, but it's like I danced so much when I was listening to the record and drawing, and I'm like sitting here like, you know, like drawing with, you know what I mean? I'm like getting loose with it. And I'm like, this is the shit. There's something to be said there, even though like maybe the track itself isn't, oh, like this is my favorite, but like there's still like a level of enjoyment that like I somehow physically cannot escape.
It's not like a top 3 track for me, but it ends disc 1 beautifully.
Ah, yes. The thought of death.
The sweet release.
Motherfucker.
Sorry.
I fucking love you. That's funny.
I'm like treading on your whole philosophy here. Sorry, that's kind of off the cuff for me.
The sweet release. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
God, he made me proud. Fuck. Good job, man. Well, I think we should probably try to tie it back into the fact that someone's being birthed on this next track.
Yeah. Isn't she lovely?
You know, I've heard the song plenty. It's not like I've never heard this track before.
This is a huge song.
The whole album so far has like kind of prepped me for like this headspace of like, let's view life in this overabundance of love, and like let's frame up a child being birthed and the joy of having a child. I'm like, oh, okay, like this song isn't like just your shopping mall song anymore. Like this is one of the most powerful songs I've ever listened to.
God, it did used to have that kind of reputation.
Yeah.
Did it not?
You know what I mean? It's like, you know,
It's just a really cheerful, like bubbly type instrumental that the lyrics could kind of go missed. I'm curious if the radio cut of this has like the baby crying in the beginning or like the snippets at the end that are used. It's like family type recorded conversation.
it's like stuff that like, I love that it's there, but on this track, sometimes the mix gets a little too loud.
It does a bit. It's a
Like-
bit too blown out
Yes.
multiple times for sure.
That sucks a little bit, and obviously like for the radio edit is a lot different, but
Yeah.
like something about seeing the song in the vision of the record, seeing it like in its fullest form, made me appreciate it in a way that like I just don't think you can replicate just by like it coming on the radio. It felt so much more full. You know how I like play piano? I'm still learning, but I play like this very floaty, trying to like emanate emotion out. I love when that feeling is like given to me and I don't have to like create it for myself in this context. Like it feels so full. This is such a dynamic track. It expands so far past what it gives us in the beginning. It's just a jam, and like you can't help but get lost in it. And it feels like that love for a child.
It's like this wondrous feeling that's hard to achieve through music.
I think there's a reason why the song is obviously so popular, but something about like the way it sits in the record, you know, the whole record so far has like been very emotional. I would say at least like 70-80% of the time. A track like this, like starting off disc 2, feels like we're gonna get so much deeper into this loving headspace, or like we're gonna like expand upon the deepest of human love. It's just it's strange.
Its placement here as track 1 of disc 2 is perfect because like birth itself kind of like signals new beginnings. Like even for like the father, the mother, a new beginning for them in their life too. Yeah, it's a great tone to begin the second half with. The song really doesn't even change up that much. It's just like harmonica solos for a long time.
Yes.
And the chorus repeated many times. And I wouldn't change a single second.
I can't tell you how bad I want to learn how to play the harmonica now. Like after hearing this record, I'm like, I could melt someone's mind with this fucking harmonica if I got good at it.
I always associate harmonica with like folk singers.
Right.
And like hearing it here on this like bubbly, upbeat R&B track. And it's like the perfect placement too.
Yes. You're like, I understand all of life's secrets through this harmonica for some, you know, it just feels so full and rich. Where I feel like in folk music, harmonica can come across like obviously super bluesy and can be a little like gross.
I think of like Bob Dylan, Neil Young, like that type of shit.
Like some real cheesy, schlocky, you know.
No, don't get me wrong. I love Neil Young for one. And Bob Dylan's okay. Haven't gone down that path yet.
It's like grandpa rock though.
A bit, yes. I love digging into that part of myself every once in a while.
Hey man,
but,
I used to listen to Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, or like whatever.
Now that is dad rock.
That's
That is
fucking
some fucking
dad rock.
John Mellencamp.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man.
Where were we?
Harmonica.
Yes. The song is fucking lovely, man. Pun fully intended.
Makes me excited to be a dad. The song does that for me, where I'm like, yeah, like this is what like life's all about.
Doesn't it begin with the actual sounds of his daughter's birth?
I think so.
I'm curious what the sounds at the end are. Where it's like more like conversation based, but like because of the audio, I can't really make out what anybody's saying.
You know, with that, I thought it was them like playing or like first words and them trying to like get her to talk and like
that would make sense.
They're laughing and like, I don't know, man. The way like that's overdubbed over like these huge fucking harmonica riffs. I'm like stomping my foot and shaking my head and I'm like just big smile on my face.
It's a joyous song.
Yeah, man. It's something special. It honestly is one of the most special things I've ever heard.
Do you know what element here kind of goes unnoticed a bit?
What?
I think the drumming on this song is really sick. Like in a subtle way.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's like these like little breaks that kind of transition us from verse to verse where it's like dun 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 dun. This like great syncopation. That's like so fun. But I noticed that Stevie always plays with the hi-hat half open. It's like this super jingly tone. It fits this song perfectly. All the fills, like everything just sounds so damn good.
I've noticed it's more of like tom work. There's not a lot of snare. And I think that's like kind of why the drumming can go kind of missed, because all your hi-hat sounds, the stuff that's like the brightest, the most dynamic, is typically coming from like other instrumentation. The drums are a very low bass, mid-level range. And so they can kind of like get buried pretty quick over top of like everything else. But you're right.
I feel like even on the album as a whole, I've meant to bring it up earlier, but the drumming, it shines on every track. Every instrument kind of shines on every track to some degree.
There's some drumming runs like later on that like we can get into as well. But
yeah,
I want to move on to like, by the way, like this is like one of my favorite tracks, obviously, but the next track is like without a doubt my favorite. This is like the epitome of the record for me.
Really?
Yes. Like I don't know why, but it is the song that I have returned to the most outside of the whole album.
This is one of the tracks that was like an early favorite when I was first familiarizing myself. It's still great. Like I have nothing bad to say about this track. It's an excellent piano ballad. A slow burn.
Oh my God. I love the slowness of this song. The song constantly feels like it's winding tension, like in a very soft way, but like I never feel like there's like this big release. It's like really concise and tight.
How long is this one? Is this a longer
6.5, yeah. It does expand. Like, don't get me wrong. The back half of the track is just like repetition, playing the same chord progression over again, like fully and expanding. It's fucking, again, it's why it's one of my favorites. But
the synth tone is great on this one, by the way.
yes,
So fuzzy.
there's like a ringing bell to it.
Yeah.
Like the way that I think the tempo is bum, constantly feels like we're being wound up, and there's never like a bum 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 bum. Like it's just like
there really is no like true climax to this song.
You know, there's never an upbeat in tempo to like start the chord progression over again. That's why I kind of like feel like it's the track to me where I feel like I can get lost the most in.
Okay.
I never have to like shed out that energy. I'm like drawn deeper within a song rather than like, and now we're over. Oh, let's start again. Feels like I'm living in this.
You look truly getting lost.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about certain sections of Knocks Me Off My Feet. The looping quality of that one. And yes, the jam at the end of this one where Stevie, he just keeps singing. He just keeps repeating the motif. And it's so great.
I like love the messaging behind this track. Like I think it's really special. As we were listening to the tracks, like before we're hopping back on the mics here, I was talking about like, you know, death, like how fun, you know, what a great topic. You know, this song kind of makes me think about, like, obviously we've been talking about like love and everything is good and great, but like there are like sad times too. Even though things are sad, there's still joy. And I love that, like, that's the thing that's being focused on, you know, instead of like just like dwelling in sadness. It's like a lens to view love through. And I'm like, fuck yeah, you know, it's this album like resonates positivity. This album served me. Like it felt so
good. Ugh. That was the intention. It felt like the time to bring this.
What have you done?
I hope this deep dive continues afterward. You need to check out his other records.
Yeah, I have to.
Like they're different too. Like you're gonna find new qualities and the other stuff to enjoy. Yeah, this is a great track, man. Is the constant winding, is it working for you here because it's slow? Where on Summersoft it was like a little too quick paced.
Yeah,
and that makes sense.
Yes,
I like both tracks, but I get that.
That's a good point.
Like when you said like the constant winding, I was like, yeah, that's kind of like Summersoft too. Although this one has more of a defined chorus, where that one is constant pre-chorus.
Yeah, the key changes too were like a lot.
It is. I'll admit it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I almost forgot like what the next track was.
We're like having conversations while we're listening to this. I wish we could like somehow keep it in, but
same here.
We were saying that talking about like how we've covered such a broad subject of music so far, and like I'm really proud of like our catalog so far. And it's fun to know that we're still trying to discover new shit. You know what I mean? I'm glad we have that expansive mindset with our appreciation instead of like reductive.
I feel the most energetic about the podcast and art in general now than I ever have.
Don't you feel like you can easily like wean out certain things that you think like, that's just, I don't think that's worth my time right now?
I'm not quite the same way as you are when it comes to that. I watch a lot of shit.
You do. You watch a lot more than I do, and I'm jealous because like, first and foremost, you have years on me, and on top of that, you consume a lot more than I do. And I'm like, so like jealous. I'm like, golly.
It's a constant artistic revolution.
Yeah. We have different routes though.
That's true. You work a lot more than I do. Like your schedule's more intense than mine.
I mean, like more. I don't think you and I have been on the same page in terms of like enjoying something at the same time. It's very rare that we're like, this is a thing that we're gonna
where we shared the intensity
at the same time.
Better Call Saul was probably the last thing.
Well, I would say like Oppenheimer and God, what else?
Well, like anything that we like love on the podcast probably constitutes as that too.
No, I just mean like
You mean like entirely outside of the podcast?
Outside the podcast, we like branch and like you're like really into Lynch.
It has been a long journey.
Yeah, and like you took that without me, and it's like
I brought you in a bit though.
I've peeked through the door of insanity. Yeah, I fucking.
You would love him.
Yeah, I know. He'd make me schizophrenic. I can't watch that shit. That's the shit that sends me over the edge. I can't take that.
Watch his Disney movie.
There you go.
That'll fill your heart with gold.
You know, our interests are different right now. And that's great because we collaborate well. But
it's more exciting than just liking the same things.
Like, this is good. Mm-hmm. I love this Breaking Benjamin song.
We bring each other into the other's world every once in a while. That's fun.
Speaking of bringing it into another world, Black Man. This is a great song.
Yeah, this is, how long is this one? About 7? 6?
8.5.
Wow.
That's a long. Well, I mean, granted, the last 3 minutes are kids in a classroom being.
That's true.
Chanting.
I like this one. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't consider it one of my favorites I think it's more the lyrical theme than anything.
It's not like the instrumentation isn't like blowing me away or anything. It's like an upbeat, groovy funk. Nothing that I really don't think that's been laid down on the record previously, but there's like rebellious revolution type vibe to it.
I couldn't shake the feeling of Kendrick Lamar's Untitled 3. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Don't get me started on some Untitled.
I love the Untitled stuff.
Don't get me started.
And that's an underrated track by Kendrick, even among that batch of songs. Like Stevie kind of hitting all these accomplishments in history where like first man to like put the flag on the continent. It's like the red man, like the one that builds the railways. Like Untitled 3 by Kendrick, it's got that kind of changing ethnicities through each verse. Like what does the black man say? What does the white man say? Like and it kind of like hits like the theme for like that race. Honestly, like the instrumental of this song reminds me of that one too. It feels very clearly inspired by this altogether.
I think it's weird that like we've already made that reference earlier, like To Pimp a Butterfly, and then like at the same time the Untitled tracks. You know, I know that Kendrick To Pimp a Butterfly isn't his favorite, but it's like
it's not.
I don't think so. I think like his enjoyment for To Pimp a Butterfly is a lot less than like what the fans view.
I bet like that one didn't sell as much as the others, and I wonder if that hurts his own view of it. Where it's like this didn't resonate with as many people.
Yeah, but the people that it did resonate with, it's like homie. It's like
goated among that crowd. And it is.
It's like one of the most mature rap albums of all time. Like it's the heaviest of shit, and it's the best. Why do we always ride Kendrick? We always do this.
We haven't hit that lane in a long time.
Really? It feels like yesterday.
I haven't listened to Kendrick in like a year.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Morale kind of dampened me on him for a while.
Yeah. I like went back and listened to some tracks by that recently.
How did it hold up?
It was like a lot easier to digest. The vibe of the record is just like really cold. You know, it's like this really fucking cold record.
It did not connect to me. Not that it's even bad, but it just was not hitting the way his earliest stuff did.
There's like a level of filth to that record. I think that's like a really depressing album, like honestly.
And that was kind of the point of the record. Like, I'm not your savior. Like, look at me. Like, I've like fucked up.
It's a tough record to digest. Like, it's hard. It's hard. Like,
it is.
When we reviewed it, we were like, eh.
We had a positive view on it when we first talked about it. Like, more positive than right now, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, back to Stevie. I mean, I like the second half more than the first half of the album. But, like, I don't really know that I would particularly return to this track more often than others. But it feels like the lane that this track takes with, like, the kids, you know, kind of amplifying the message. It felt like a little bit more than just Stevie.
Yeah,
like,
it was trying to hit like a thematic.
Yeah.
Like, it was a bit bigger than other tracks in that regard, for sure. But it's hard to single out on its own. And like on repeat listens, like those sections at the end, it's like, do I want to listen to the kids in the classroom again?
Yeah. We listen to this record a lot. And granted, like the whole record with the EP tacked on the end is an hour and 45 minutes.
Yes. And sorry about not reminding you about the final 4 tracks.
I'm fucking not mad. It's fine.
I still listened to them too a few times over the few weeks.
Let's get moving here. I Am Singing.
The Spanish track.
Unexpected and like honestly a little bit weird for like the track list.
This one is a bit misplaced. I don't know if I dislike it.
Right, it's not bad. It's just like the ethnic quality of it in the middle of this record feels so weird. Like the sound is not the same.
I think Stevie kind of likes to do this, messing around with world music.
Right.
I can't remember what album it is, but there's a random track on one of these that has like a reggae influence to it. Mm-hmm. I think it's on the album Intervisions, but it's like he just wants to fuck with that sound. Like, I'm going to experiment.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of like the synth tone where it feels like spiders are crawling around.
Almost like drum pan xylophone-y. Like it's like
it's a bit like percussive for me.
It's very bright.
The beginning of I Wish kind of had this quality to it too.
Yeah.
Where it's like that kind of noise to the synth.
There's like a
skittering.
A little bit of a ice cream truck tone to it. It's like very metallic.
These are the tones like on the keyboard that you never fuck around with.
Yeah.
Like, when you go to it, you'll hit a few notes and go like, what do I even do with this?
Yes, exactly.
Like, you probably have a bunch of those on your keyboard.
It happens all the time. I'm like, I'll be recording and I'm like, I'll be switching through different sounds. And I'm like, this doesn't work because like every time I press a key, there's like a percussive element to it.
Yeah.
I can't.
It fucks everything else up.
I can't float it into something else. You know what I mean?
maybe that's a testament to Stevie's songwriting, that he was able to build a song around that tone. It is catchy.
No, don't get me wrong. Like, it works in every aspect. There's nothing wrong with the song.
This is just a flavor I don't care
Right.
for much. I think I talked about this on the Red Hot Chili Peppers podcast. I don't like playing around with world music.
Yeah. I kind of shit on the Chili Peppers, didn't I?
You were in a really bad mood that day, I think. You were tired and you were really hungry.
Yeah, that's like a really bad combo for me. It's not good.
Like, you still gave it like a 6 or 7 at the end, but like the review kind of read like a 3.
It was like, fuck you, I hated it, but it was all right, I guess.
I was a little shocked by that one.
Oh, I still respected it, but I was not.
I get it.
still don't like it. Like, I don't like.
I was sitting in my own nostalgia a bit too much on that one in regards to actually recommending that album, where I think you're looking for like new avenues each time we do something. And I know that now. That's how we got here.
Thank you for indulging me.
Chili Peppers led us here, I think. In a weird way.
Fuck you. But let's hop into the next 2 tracks. Let's get rolling, and because we still got like a handful to go through here. Sir, we are on If It's Magic.
This is a goddamn magical song. I'll tell you that.
You're goddamn right.
This is one of the ones I listen to the most over this period.
Really?
I think. This is like one of those like car karaoke songs for me.
There you go.
I know you probably have tracks like that for you too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
This is stylistically so unique against everything else here. We kind of just went off like a funky track and a salsa influenced track.
Yeah.
And then we're doing like a harp ballad.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a great way to describe it. It's not really like a ballad. Like, I don't know what the tone of this song is.
It's like very spacey. It kind of has like a, what's that called? 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like, it has like some like sci-fi kind of feel to it in a way.
Ooh.
Like, it feels like it's like laying the groundwork a little bit for like some of the 80s cinematic like sci-fi shit.
That's an interesting thought.
I don't know why.
I don't know if I'm there with you 100%, but it's
very dreamy. Let's put it that way.
It is very dreamy. There's a quality about this song, like a classic quality, that I don't know if I would describe quite the same for other tracks. I think of a song like Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
What a Wonderful World. Like those songs. It doesn't even feel like a person wrote those. It's like those existed in mankind. Like the universe deserved these songs. This kind of feels like it falls within that category. I hope that's not an insane man's thought.
No, that was like shocking coming from you. It felt like a praise to God in its own way. You know what I mean?
The song Yesterday by the Beatles has a similar quality to it, where it's like, this is just so...
It has to be.
Natural in the weirdest way.
No, it's not weird. Dude, all music is just emotion. And, you know, sometimes somebody has like something really powerful to say. And like, you know,
there's like a universal quality to it. Like,
right.
I couldn't imagine anybody saying like, I fucking hate Yesterday.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. You're onto something. That's life, homie. See, I'm used to you being this pessimistic dude, and you're like, there must be something more to this life, you say. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're here with me. What's up, man?
I'm a changed man. What can I say?
That's amazing. There's something really rich about this record. Like, it's just stuff like this where it's...
Yes.
I feel like somehow it's subtle and somehow the most powerful thing at the same time, you know?
I'm going to be chasing this high.
Yeah, I know.
Afterward.
You are. And so am I. It's going to be bad.
Like, once like I burn Stevie out, I'm like, well, what's next?
I'm unfulfilled. It's January. There's nothing to look forward to in life. Taxes are coming.
Dear God.
I hate our government. Yeah. It's a great track.
This is an excellent track.
As,
yes. I think the final 2 tracks of this album are actually my favorite.
Yeah.
This is a natural, we are ending with the best.
I want to talk about that too, because it's like we've had so many albums over the years that we're just like, why couldn't you have just ended it this way? It would have made everybody happy.
I'm trying to think back on a record that didn't follow that formula.
I think we talked about like with Smashing Pumpkins, like for instance, that we're like, why?
What's the final track on Siamese Dream? Luna?
No.
We've talked about this before. We've had this exact same discussion. It is Luna. I already know. This is a deja vu moment.
Fuck you.
The final 3 tracks on Siamese Dream are great. It's like Space Boy and Luna and something else. I think Luna's the last track.
See, it's all
I'm
fucked
in
up.
love with you.
You sound like fucking Tom. You sound like UK. Like,
I'm in the Beatles.
I'm in the Beatles. Dewey. No. We did this last time or recently. No.
You showed me the video from the
Yeah. Would you like to do some LSD, Dewey?
yeah.
Oh, shit.
Where's Wikipedia? Here it is. The final track of Siamese Dream is Luna. Silver Fox, Sweet Sweet Luna.
Okay, it's the silver fuck that fucks with me. And what's one of the ones that we were like, ugh?
As like bad final tracks?
Yeah, like the endings.
I'm not a fan of the final track on Blonde by Frank Ocean, Future of
Yeah.
Free. Not a fan of the final track on Koi no Yokan.
Yep.
Whatever that track was. It was a super forgettable one. What Happened to You, I think?
Yeah, I think you might be right. You didn't like Famous Last Words that much?
I think my sentiment towards that track was I just burned it out.
Yeah.
It's a great track. I feel nothing when I hear it now.
I'm empty. Yeah, perfect. You embodied the emo goth.
There you go.
But yeah, man, this track, it's like a masterpiece song. It's amazing.
Yes, this has like entered the echelon of like favorite songs of all time. A few on this record have kind of done that.
This is his 34th single to crack the top 40.
It's hard to imagine this being like a radio hit at any time, like in any decade. There's like nothing traditional about the way the song is structured or performed or anything. This is a winding track.
It's 7 minutes long, which we've covered like a lot of long tracks. The refrains over and over and over, and like
Yes.
but like I'm not mad about it. It keeps me in the groove. It won't let you out.
I didn't get tired of any of these songs, especially this one. This song should be 14 minutes.
Right.
And I don't want them to change anything. I just want it to be that refrain.
Someone had to be doing. Did they have Adderall back then? Because it's like until, and they would
A
all
lot
of these
of metaphors. So many metaphors. It's actually insane.
Yeah, and they never they don't repeat. Until dolphins fly and parrots live at sea, until we dream of life and life becomes a dream. Like, there's so many metaphors. I mean, it goes on and on. There's like 50.
I know that this album is kind of like a loose concept album. Like it's supposed to hit all of the elements of life.
Yes.
And he's doing it on this song. He's hitting dolphins and parrots.
Yes. Yeah, like
He's being
very specific.
detail oriented.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. There's like a level of enlightenment with that.
It takes a certain kind of writer to write about dolphins and parrots in a song and like
Yeah.
it not come across like absolute trash.
Yes. That's some Limp Bizkit shit right there that can like easily go sour.
I don't know about that, but I would love to hear that. Limp Bizkit doing parrots and dolphins. The structure of this song is so weird. It alternates between verses and just background singing jams.
Right.
It just hits that stride and doesn't stop.
I don't really think we've talked about it, but I think this is one of the tracks where I kind of think it shines the most, where I feel like there's this live performance, this level of like showmanship. I feel like I'm at a concert. Like, I feel like there's a crowd of people like enjoying this track.
There's like not other songs on the record that share that quality. It's specific to this song.
Yeah.
Maybe the next track to a degree. That is weird.
It's like anthemic.
That's a great way to like put it into words too. I hadn't thought about it that way. It's like this party.
It is.
And like every time I listen to it, I feel like I'm like at the party.
Yeah.
Like
It's a celebration.
playing a part along to like even the instrumentation. I'm living in the song.
Yeah,
if you know
man.
what I mean.
It's the whole album. Like, it is like, let's live here for a minute. It's very rare to be this enveloped. It's like so long. Like, I think it would be really easy to get tired of. And then every time I'm listening to the album, I'm like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life.
I'm usually kind of disappointed when it comes to an end.
Yeah. That's why you just start right the fact back over
Yes.
on me.
Which I did many times with like multiple tracks
Yeah.
on here. Before we exit this track, I will say the background singers, like the melody, that whole section feels like it belongs in Late Registration. Kanye as well. Like,
yeah.
and honestly, that part might have been sampled in that album. It felt familiar hearing this song for the first time. Like, wait a second.
Yeah, it's the female vocalist. Like, it's the...
There was many moments here that were like that for me.
Would not be mad if you recommended Late Registration at some point.
I would really love to.
Let's talk about the man.
We did the ranked episode for him
Yeah.
at a weird time
Yeah.
where like nobody...
Wanted to talk about him.
Yes, and that episode has very low listens.
Yes, for that reason.
It does. Also, Harry Potter.
Yes.
Everybody hates fucking J.K. Rowling.
Yes. We're fucking bigots over here on this podcast. We don't care.
They're fine episodes, by the way. Just
Yes.
bad timing.
Um,
Hop into the next track.
we gotta, let's,
Are we done with this one?
yeah, we gotta listen and, yeah, let's listen to this one. We're going to listen to it, damn it. This track,
Another star.
the best track.
It is the best track.
We sat here for 9 minutes just living it, and it was the only way.
Usually we skip through songs. We've listened to them enough over the last few weeks.
This one, it cannot. You can't squash and step on the fire. You need to let it burn. It's fiery rage.
That's how you know it's a special one.
Yeah.
But what is it about this track that elevates it even more than the previous one as?
There's nothing like mega special here outside of like just some amazing instrumentation.
It's kind of the same structure again.
Yeah.
Some loose verses with alternating jamming sections, like emphasis on background vocals and additional instrumentation.
The song feels like the biggest party that's ever being thrown. You know what I mean?
We were just talking about Babylon off the air.
Yes.
The Damien Chazelle movie. Mm-hmm. This song kind of sounds like that movie to me. Like that. This is the tone of that film.
I just love the horns elevating this chord progression. It felt like a whole music hall filled of musicians.
I would love to know how many people are on the track. And actually, when I say that, I'm going to check right now.
You know, I just think that first and foremost, like the theme of the track isn't even like that great.
I didn't even pay attention to the subject matter.
It's just about like breakup and like longing. But to me, it's like, oh my God, this is like the biggest celebration of life. It's like the burning of life itself. Oh, it feels so like it's so powerful. There's like this richness to it. We didn't even talk about it, but like literally one of the lyrics on the record talks about like, oh, I need to go back and find this before we forget about it. It's where he says that until the what's that song? Always.
The one right before this.
Yes. Okay. First and foremost, we didn't talk about the scat vocals.
Yeah. Stevie kind of reaches this lower register in his voice a few times on the record, but at the end of As, he gets really indulgent. And it's so awesome. It's like a jazz band like playing on the street type shit.
Essentially all he says is that love will come around and it'll keep coming around and it'll keep coming around until like the all-loving being comes back in human form. Like he's talking about like Jesus Christ coming back, like when the Messiah comes back. I'm like, I can't handle like that like level of intense. Like, it's such a crazy thing.
And he has that conviction, like, to deliver that message to you.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please stop, please. He's just like a special guy, man. Like, my eyes have been opened. The motherfucker can't see, but I can see, goddammit.
I haven't seen a single bad opinion about Stevie Wonder. I'm always on Reddit threads. I was looking at some about Stevie, and, like, people had little stories about meeting him, and everybody was like, most wonderful person I've ever met. And it checks out.
Hopefully he doesn't pull a Bill Cosby.
I think he's good.
I think he's clean.
I think he is good.
Okay.
My world would break.
That would be the day that I dig my own grave and crawl in it. I'd be like, I'm done. There's nothing left to believe in.
No, he seems like he has all the boxes checked. He's a brilliant master musician, like prodigy, as a child, genius.
Yeah.
And humanitarian causes, and also just a nice guy. How often do you get that trio of qualities in a celebrity?
It's like a really special record. I haven't felt like this impacted by a piece of music in a while. It was really nice.
Thank God. I needed one of these album recommendations to hit like that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I mean, hey man, you hit it with like Evil Dead 2. I was like really blown away, like film wise. I'm like, like it was so different. Like it's something I never really had the ability to appreciate.
I meant like musically more.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't like blown your mind in that way in a long time.
No, it's been a little while.
Like you liked like the Mars Volta record a lot.
Oh, I did. But like it was like really dark and like I'm like I like
this insane record.
Didn't like feel great about talking about it like because I'm like, oh, this is like awful. Like let's talk about fucking heroin overdose real fast for a couple hours.
It'd been since like Bowie, probably.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Reaching into this classic period,
right?
Like that usually produces good results for some reason.
I'm glad that you bring it in because I'm like so blind on classics and like you always like bring that in. And I'm like, yeah, I need that.
There's a whole new world out there, man. I'm still discovering. Stevie Wonder's new to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But like he has quickly been established as one of my new favorite songwriters.
Yeah.
Like I look at him in the same way as like Paul McCartney now, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of which, like a new Beatles song came out.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you heard it, but it's not very good.
I wanted to know what your opinion was.
It's a demo with AI cleaning up elements of it and then like them recording new parts. It doesn't work really.
No, it's not the same.
I don't need a new Beatles song. They have their catalog.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about like the next 4 tracks before we wrap up the album, or do you just want to like cap it here and then talk about them?
That's up to you, actually.
I'd love to kind of just keep the momentum going here.
Okay.
And then we'll hop back in. Let's just wrap up the last couple here and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, so the final 4 tracks on this album are an EP. And for some reason, it's like just under the same category as the full album.
I'm not mad about it. They still feel like they fit.
They're pretty good tracks.
Yeah. I think Saturn, like, when you were like, we don't have to talk about all the last 4, and I'm like, wait, no. Like, we need to talk about this one. Like, this is one of my favorite tracks. Like,
Saturn is really great.
I just love, I don't know, there's like this sci-fi element to it, this spacey quality, and I don't know, it's really grand.
There's something about the way the track opens, specifically with like the synth tone, that reminds me of like Wish You Were Here era Pink Floyd a bit.
There you go.
Yeah. It kind of reaches like some prog moments on this track. This actually sounds more like one of the 2 previous records that came before it. So if you like this song, you will probably like the other records.
Hell yeah. The other ones that he won the Grammys for, Album of the Year.
Yes.
Okay. Because
they're really good.
I have to chase this somehow. Like,
his other albums are actually like a bit more adventurous instrumentally.
Hell yeah.
This one's just like the refined songwriting album.
Hell yeah.
To me, at least.
I'm excited to venture in that.
I think the songwriting of this song, Saturn, could rank up to many of the songs like on the actual Songs in the Key of Life album.
Yes.
Like this is a strong tune.
Yes. Briefly, Ebony Eyes. It's just like a good freaking funky song. Like there's not a whole lot more than just it being like a really groovy fucking track.
This feels like 4 albums back. Stevie Wonder.
Right.
It honestly feels like a lost song from like I think the record's called Talking Book. Like just a really simple, funky.
Yes.
The hook is so strong on this one.
How do you feel about All Day Sucker? Because this is a track that I don't even know if I like.
There's something addictive about that loop.
Yes.
And you already know what I'm talking about. It sounds like the most stereotypical like funk rhythm and melody that you could do, but it's incredibly infectious.
Yes. Words aren't even like audible at some points. Like it just feels like we're somehow mixing vocals with like a crunchy bass line at times. And it's just like really super fuzzy and everything on the mix feels like it's being processed through like the same filter.
This kind of sounds like a Herbie Hancock song to me. I think I briefly showed you like a Herbie Hancock song last time I saw you.
Yeah.
Like real funky jazz fusion type stuff. Is this the one with the talk box vocals?
No, that's
or is that Ebony Eyes?
I think it's Ebony Eyes.
Did we skip over that element?
I think it is on Ebony Eyes.
Yeah, you're right.
It is.
Like on the second half.
Yeah.
Where they're kind of like introduced as like background vocals in the middle before they kind of become like the forefront.
And like a dropout, yeah.
This batch of songs is kind of weird.
It is. But like, I do like the final instrumental.
Yeah. What is the song? Easy Going something?
Easy Going, Evening, My Mama's Call.
My Mama's Call.
That's a beautiful way to say it.
What is it about the track that you like?
It does sound like someone calling you home.
It's like go home when like the street lights turn on type thing.
Yeah. Like sun setting or something.
There's like a noir feeling to this to me. Like I feel like I've got like a sad detective walking down the street in the rain.
I don't know that's a bad thing.
That's a feeling I love.
I don't know, man. I hate that this has to end. I loved being here. I don't know. I just think that it's probably like one of the more powerful records I've ever listened to.
I love this album.
Yeah. It's the songs in the key of life, and I think that's pretty accurate, you know?
Even if like not each individual song is perfect to me, it's like the whole is greater than like the sum of its parts. Whatever the fuck that saying is.
I think you're on something here, yes? I think you worded it correctly.
The level of songwriting here is unbelievable for a man on his 18th album, coming off of a streak of 4 other like groundbreaking records, award-winning albums.
Yes.
It feels effortless to him.
It's scary. It's scary how good it was. The guy's probably a genius.
I literally look at Stevie Wonder now as like one of the greatest artists of all time, where I feel like I had a complete Like
separation.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's a name I knew my entire life that I never
Yeah.
took seriously.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's somebody like I'm gonna be like diving deep into, like following this. I feel like there's a world that is gonna be open to me that like I'm gonna grow to love.
What is it about like the 60s and 70s where there were so many artists that not only had like quality but like produced a shit ton of albums in a really short period of time? Like there were so many people doing it then.
Yeah.
The Beatles were around for like 7 years.
I don't know, it's just like a cultural boom, man.
Artists came out with like 2 albums a year.
I know.
At that time.
It's crazy to think about. Now, like an artist can take 3 years off and like release like a mediocre record, and they'll still be like talked about or like relevant in some way, and like kind of blows my mind that like we even give them the attention. Music is like really oversaturated now.
The landscape is so weird at the moment. I don't even know who's like big or like what the trend is or anything.
I don't know, man. It's endless. Like there's so many different niches you can be in. Everybody kind of has their own thing. I mean, we have our own thing. We don't really think about it like that, but like there's a world beyond what we even look at that has probably the same level of love. There are like so many different genres of rock that you and I don't appreciate like other people do. Like I can't listen to Avenged Sevenfold, but there's somebody that will die on a fucking hill for it. You know what I mean? And so it's just...
I hate 80s hair metal.
Yes, you do.
It is like my least favorite genre.
I can listen to Journey like no problem.
I don't consider that hair metal, really.
It's close. It's adjacent.
It is. But it's much better in my eyes.
Yeah, man. It's
Ratings?
a perfect record, right?
Yes.
I mean,
I don't think there's any question about it.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much to like be like, no.
One of the easiest 10s I could ever give,
Yeah, man.
honestly.
I'm mega comfortable just being like, yeah, it's pretty much perfect.
Piss break.
Well,
Dude,
the floor.
it's the time.
It's mine.
That time. I have no idea where we're going next.
Okay, so you kind of have like 2 options, all right? You can have a serious route, or you can have like a more approachable route that's like still, God. There's like Stonewall, like very deep culture movie that you can watch that like you'll love. I don't even know if that you'll love it, but like you'll appreciate.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack. Or you can have like a very like on the surface, easily dismissed, non-important thing, but I think will blow your mind in some ways. I don't know if you've seen it. So you've got like the film critics film, or you've got like the Disney, Pixar-y, DreamWorks route. There's 2.
I think I already know what one of these options might be.
There's 2 routes.
The
you can
less
take.
serious one. I think I know what that might be. I think we talked about it last time we were together, possibly. I don't know.
The choice is yours. I don't care where you take us.
Choices are weird. I think you know what direction I want to take out of those 2 choices.
Yeah, that's fine.
Should there be something really enticing about this other option that I would choose it over the serious one?
Yes.
Yes.
There's really interesting qualities about the other film that I think are really exciting to talk about as well. Don't worry about it, man. I'm happy. Whatever you choose. I just want to know what you want, because I feel like you catered this record to me in some way, and I'm thankful for that. So now I'm like, okay, here you go. You can have like...
Are both these options catered to me, though? Or is one specifically?
No, I just think like you'll come away with something from either one that I want you to have. Whatever you want your vibe to be.
Let's go the weird route.
The weird route.
The weird route. That's how it seems to me. Wait, hold on. You said Pixar, DreamWorks?
Pixar, DreamWorks, Disney.
Wait.
Kind of level.
Is it an animated thing?
It is an animated thing.
I don't know if I'm in that mode.
Well, then don't be.
Let's do the serious thing.
Okay, perfect. Hell yeah. I'm excited about this too, man.
I'm in need of a classic anyways, so.
Good. Well, I think you'll get it here.
Okay.
Do you have any idea what I'm suggesting?
I want to say it's like Seven Samurai for some reason, but...
There you go. I've been wanting to do this for like a long time.
I thought about this movie today.
Really?
Because I was at Barnes & Noble shopping for Criterion titles.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it, actually. It wasn't on the shelf there.
Yeah, I don't think it's super readily available. Yeah, man. This is what we're watching.
Akira Kurosawa. This is a director that I have needed to hit. This is vital for me.
Good. I'm glad you're going to get this.
Can you tell me what the other option was?
It's going to be Surf's Up.
I was going to guess that too.
Yeah.
I knew that's what it was. Because I just finished the Silence of the Lambs edit. We had talked about Surf's Up on the episode.
Damn it.
Because I thought it was connected to Happy Feet. Because of the penguin.
Yes.
I don't know if I really thought that it was connected, but...
It's the same movie. I think they came out like close to each other.
This is the right choice between those 2 for me. At the moment, at least.
I've only seen it once. It was a couple years ago now, I think. I don't think it was it last year? It might have been last November.
It was sometime last year for sure.
This movie, it's like perfect for the weather.
Is this a black and white film?
It's black and white.
Nice.
And it's like 3 hours long.
I'm here for all that.
And it's a foreign film, and it's long and slow.
But I bet the cinematography fucking rules.
It's amazing. It's fucking awesome. It's fucking amazing.
Dude, I need this.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to talk about like all different types of influences, and there'll be a lot to unpack. And I think it'll be like kind of a big undertaking, but I think it will be worth it. I've been waiting a while to do this. I didn't want to like shoot my shot too early. I feel like we're ready for this in a way that we haven't been in a long time.
Have we ever done like a samurai type film? Like anything
Last Samurai?
close? Does that count?
Yeah, it's a samurai film.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does.
But like,
actually, the action in that film was really fucking good.
But this is like the origin. Like this is the
root.
This is the Japanese Western, homie.
This is a subgenre of film that I need to visit.
It's also a period piece, but it's like old school period piece.
Yes.
Which is fun.
Is this kind of like a transitioning of times type film?
A little bit.
Okay. I love stuff like that.
A little bit.
Samurai are on the way out. Like kind of in the same way. No?
No, it's more of like, I don't know. It's like more of like an exploration of a culture in a really, really basic. It takes place in a village. It's so grounded.
Like very like self-contained.
Yes. You'll like that.
I know I will. That was the best part in The Last Samurai.
Yes. You'll enjoy being in this world. I'm excited. There's a lot to it.
I love that you put me up against 7 Samurai or Surf's Up.
I'm telling you, man, they both would have blew your mind. I'm telling you. Surf's Up will come back around.
We'll go down that route one day.
All right. Let's jam. Let's get off the mic and let's jam.
Yes.
All right. That's been fun. Getter, do me the honors.
Adios.